So there's been a lot of Kristi Noem news recently. There's been quite a bit. Here's a little video from the 3rd. Kristi Noem testified under oath that the Biden regime was paying child traffickers to sponsor unaccompanied minors coming across the border.
Unaccompanied alien children were lost by the Biden administration, not tracked. We've located about 145,000 of them, and we've done that through the investigative work of our Homeland Security Investigations team. They are phenomenal at the work that they do, and they specialize in child trafficking, sex trafficking, and finding individuals that would perpetuate that harm against our children. The one thing that has been challenging is that under the Biden administration, the government paid sponsors in HHS in order to host these children. And those sponsors, many times, we found instances where they trafficked these children themselves. So under that administration, we not only had children that were in this country as a part of a program, the government was paying individuals that were knowingly trafficking them and abusing them. That has stopped. We have gone through and found these children and put them back with their families when we have the opportunity to do so, and with loved ones that will care for them. And I would say that even in one case, we have other countries where we've been working with them to get their children back home, where we've been prevented returning these families back and helping them to be reunified by activist judges. But we will continue to work to ensure that these individuals and these children that were abused by the trafficking over the border have the opportunity to be brought back to their families and to their loved ones going forward.
That's kind of wild to hear, that even like HHS was assisting the trafficking. And we kind of knew about a lot of unaccompanied alien children being lost because they set up that, we talked about the phone line that they set up that just had nobody to answer calls. So hopefully this gets more attention, because that is just insane to fucking hear. In more Kristi Noem news, it's rare to see an exchange like this between a cabinet secretary and a senator of their own party. GOP Senator John Kennedy went in on Secretary Noem for the $220 million media budget for DHS ads featuring Noem prominently and raising her own profile, as Kennedy put it. Now, I have some questions. I have no idea what, like, advertising they're talking about. I have not seen any ads with her in them, so I don't know what he's talking about. I don't doubt that it happened, otherwise he wouldn't bring it up. It's just like, I don't know what they are. And also, why would she waste so much money to just feature herself? Like, what would be the point in that?
How do you square that concern for waste, which I share, with the fact that you have spent $220 million running television advertisements
for what?
That feature you prominently?
Sir, the president tasked me with getting the message out to the country and to other countries where we were seeing the invasion come from, with putting commercials out that told them that if they were in this country illegally, that they needed to leave, or we would detain them and remove them, and they'd not get the chance to come back to America.
Yeah, who still watches television ads?
That has been extremely effective.
Ask you to run these advertisements, is that right?
We had that conversation, yes, before I was put in this position and sworn in and confirmed, and since then as well.
Okay. Did you...
I feel like that's a massive waste of money. Why would you use money on an advertising campaign to get illegals to self-deport instead of just deporting them?
Did you bid out those service contracts?
Yes, they did. They went out to a competitive bid, and career officials at the department chose who would do those advertising commercials.
And the people that you ended up picking were people who had formerly done your political work back in South Dakota, is that right?
No, that's not correct, sir.
I think it is.
No, it's not, sir. The individuals who, I believe the careers who they chose were two different media firms. There's been conversation about their subcontractors, but we have no legal authority to look into subcontractors on work like that.
Okay. And you're saying that you're testifying that...
If you had to guess, if they self-deport, it's faster and no court issues? I'm not saying self-deportation is bad, because obviously it's faster. I'm just saying, why spend millions of dollars, what do you say, $220 million, on television ads encouraging self-deportation. I feel like that's not going to be a good return on investment.
President Trump approved this ahead of time. Is that my understanding?
We had conversations about making sure that...
Speaking of government ads, you saw an Air Force commercial on Real Housewives. It's over, boys and girls. You see, like, this is like when people ask, it's not even financially responsible to buy a VTuber billboard. Well, yeah, I'm probably not going to get a lot of return on investment, regardless of whether I buy one or if it's a gift from my community, from people actually driving past and seeing the billboard. There's going to be a little bit, right? But it's not going to be a crazy amount of people. The return on investment comes from everyone freaking out about it on Twitter. And also, it just makes me happy. I love those things. It's fun. The ROI is the comedy. Exactly. It's not always about the money, Batman. But like for these TV ads, I can't really see how that was a good way to spend money. It's cost efficient. It costs $500K to apprehend and deport one criminal illegal. The advertisement campaign for CPP1 got just over 1 million. There were that many people that saw TV commercials. Maybe I'm in a bubble in that regard, because that's crazy.
No, ma'am. I'm asking you, sorry to interrupt, but the president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly.
Did the president know you were going to do this?
Yes.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
And one thing, Senator, I think would be helpful to know is how effective that communications has been. That
well, they
overwhelmingly
were effective in your name recognition. I mean, I personally just, I mean, to me, it puts the president in a terribly awkward spot. And I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. It's just hard for me to believe, knowing the president.
Because she basically used them to do the TikTok woman thing of basically putting herself in front of the thing she was trying to show off. At least that's why they're upset about the ads. I mean, yeah, it would be a little weird for her to feature herself prominently in, like, we're gonna fucking deport you advertisements, right? That's kind of strange. And meanwhile, Bondi still has a job. That's what I'm saying. Like, why get rid of Noem before Bondi? It's all so confusing. The company she used was made by someone she knew who only created the company 11 days before getting the deal. Ooh, okay. The nepotistic money movement thing makes more sense to me for like, hey, you shouldn't do that. That's really scummy. She also apparently lied here, saying that Trump knew when Trump has denied knowing about the ads. Ooh, yeah, you probably shouldn't lie about that.
As I do, that you said, Mr. President, here's some ads I've cut, and I'm going to spend $220 million running them, that he would have agreed to that. I don't think Russ Vogt at OMB would have agreed to that. It's something we have to defend. I'm on the Appropriations Committee.
Look, it's another elf. Look at this guy's ears. Look at them. They're so pointy.
My research shows that you did not bid them out, that you picked, in fact, one of the people you picked, the strategy group, Safe America Media was a company formed 11 days before.
Ooh, yeah, that doesn't look good. That does not look good.
The strategy group got most of the money, and the head of that is married to your former spokesperson.
Okay, that's really weird.
It troubles me. A fifth to a quarter of $1 billion of taxpayer money when we're scratching for every penny and we're fighting over rescission packages. I just can't agree with Madam Secretary. Are you still running those ads?
No, Senator, I did not have anything to do with picking those contractors. No politicals at the Department of Homeland Security did.
I understand. Are you
Clear
still running
officials
those
followed
ads?
the competitive bid process for
Are you
that.
still running those ads?
I think the ads are due to end here in March, I think within a week or two. I'm not sure of the update. The one that is running is focusing on angel families. Have you seen that? It is the one that's talking about this is our why. This is why we work every day. Okay. It's for the angel families.
Okay. All right. Okay. And then my next tab on this. Trump removes DHS Secretary Kristi Noem after controversial tenure. Trump announced the decision on social media and said Noem would be replaced with Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, R. Oklahoma. Donald Trump said Thursday he's replacing Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, a move that came amid mounting bipartisan criticism of her stewardship of the administration's mass deportation agenda and efforts to dismantle the Federal Emergency Management Agency. I think these are things that people like. I don't understand the bipartisan criticism of her stewardship of the administration's mass deportation agenda. If anything, the criticism is, we need more and you're not doing it fast enough. Trump announced the decision on social media and said Noem would be replaced by Senator Mark Wayne Mullen effective at the end of this month. Noem, he said, will move to a new role as special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. That doesn't sound like a real position. That sounds like something the fucking blonde guy would announce in Du Bois, which he described as part of a new Western Hemisphere security initiative that will be unveiled at an event in Florida on Saturday. In his post, Trump praised Noem as having served us well and praised her for numerous and spectacular results, especially on the border. Noem has faced increasing uncertainty over whether she would remain in her position as the public soured on her agency's aggressive immigration enforcement, and as even some Republicans questioned whether she was fit for the job. I don't think she was aggressive enough. We didn't have enough deportations. We need someone who's going to go farther than she did. Her ouster adds more potential instability to the Department of Homeland Security at a time when the agency remains partially shut down because of an impasse over a funding extension on Capitol Hill, where Democrats are demanding new accountability measures for federal immigration officers. So why is her replacement just markedly worse than she is my question. Like, why would they put someone that would potentially do a worse job and hamper things even more? Like, what would be the point of that? Noem was attending a conference in Nashville when Trump made the announcement, delivering the keynote address at the Sergeant Benevolent Association Major Cities Conference. She did not acknowledge her ouster while answering unrelated questions from the audience and reciting what she viewed as the agency's accomplishments in carrying out Trump's agenda, including an alleged 750,000 deportations, which is a lot. But we can get those numbers up.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
She mentioned that she would join Trump and two other cabinet secretaries Saturday to announce an agreement to combat drug cartels. Later, in a social media post, Noem acknowledged her removal from DHS, thanking the president and touting historic accomplishments at the Department of Homeland Security. Mullen, 48, was elected to the Senate in 2022 after spending a decade in the House. See, that's already a red flag. This guy is like entrenched in politics. A decade in the House, has been in the Senate since 2022. You expect me to trust him to do a good job? He is considered one of the Republican senators closest to Trump. Mullen left a closed-door Senate Republican lunch at 1:26 p.m. and walked out of the Capitol. Trump announced his nomination 15 minutes later on social media while the lunch was still going on. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, R. South Dakota, said he thought Mullen would bring a fresh set of eyes and a fresh approach to DHS. And that's a second red flag. John Thune is one of the guys holding up the SAVE Act, isn't he? Why would we trust anything John Thune says? So him endorsing Mullen is another red flag. Senator Lindsey Graham, R. South Carolina, another Trump ally and another red flag, praised the announcement, saying it was time for a change. I just don't believe you, man. I just don't. What the fuck? These two people endorsing Mullen makes me feel like he's going to just basically stop deportations. Mullen's personally comforted the shitwad that shot Ashley Babbitt. He said January 6th was a terrorist plot in June of that year. Awful pick by Trump. I could not think of somebody worse for this position. Thune is a bigger swamp creature than a 20-foot alligator. Yeah, this makes me feel like ICE is about to be neutered, and we're going to see far less deportations. And that is not a good thing. Pick of Mullen might be a sop to the rhinos in the hope to get the SAFE Act finally passed. Well, we had Paxton basically throw cards on the table for that. So, castrated, actually. It does feel like that in a way. You hope not. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, but there's just a lot of red flags here that make me very worried. Democrats were more circumspect. Senator Angus King in Independent, Maine, who caucuses with Democrats. I'm an independent, but I would never, ever disagree with the Democrats. Described Mullen as an upgrade, absolutely, from Noem, but said that pretty much anybody is. Senator Cory Booker, D. New Jersey, said that Noem should still be held to account for the corruption that she has shown with the contracting and for violating the constitutional rights of Americans. Illegal aliens are not Americans. She hasn't violated any constitutional rights in that regard. I don't know what the fuck this guy's talking about. And you also do not have a constitutional right to try and run over ICE agents with your vehicle. So, I mean, like, what are we doing? Over the first 13 months of his second term, Trump did not fire any of his cabinet secretaries, a contrast to the relatively rapid turnover of his first term. Over the same period in 2017, 2018, Trump replaced several cabinet secretaries and his chief of staff. The move to replace Noem appeared to come as a surprise to her, as she had told aides that Trump asked her in December to stay through the midterms, according to people familiar with the matter. But Trump told advisors that he had grown increasingly unhappy with Noem after DHS's surge of thousands of immigration enforcement officers in Minnesota in December and January, an escalation that resulted in officers fatally shooting 2 U.S. citizens, and said 2 people who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe the president's conversation. So yeah, the majority of people were for those things. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Her sending in ICE did not result in officers fatally shooting 2 U.S. citizens. The U.S. citizens who tried to interfere with ICE agents, one of them attempting to hit an agent with her car, is the escalation. You can protest. You cannot try to kill people. Yeah, do more in Minnesota? Yeah, more needs to happen in Minnesota. Why is Trump suddenly like pussyfooting here? It doesn't make sense. We're just gonna let them harass and attack our agents from now on? I mean, have there been any repercussions for that fucking retard in Chicago that got in like a gunfight with ICE agents and then was allowed to leave the scene and go to the hospital on her own? Has anything happened to that woman? Internet Zen Master, thank you. Mullen is, from what you can tell, going to be hands-off on ICE and let Tom Homan do his job. His job is dealing with the Homeland Security side of things. I don't know. Again, I would love to be wrong and see the deportations ramp up and see a more aggressive approach than Noem. Hopefully that's what will happen, but I see too many red flags. I do not have faith. Noem's testimony at a Senate committee oversight hearing this week also rankled Trump, who was displeased with her defense of a $200 million ad campaign that featured Noem and her assertion that Trump had signed off on the campaign, the People said. The Wall Street Journal first reported Trump's frustrations with Noem. During the hearing, Senator John Neely Kennedy, R. Louisiana, pressed Noem about the ad campaign, which had been launched not long after she took over DHS in February 2025. When Kennedy asked Trump if Trump had approved the multi-million-dollar campaign, Noem replied, "Yes, sir, we went through the legal processes." And she said Trump knew about it ahead of time. "It puts the president in a terribly awkward spot," Kennedy told Noem, expressing skepticism that the president would agree to the ad campaign. Kennedy said Thursday that he had spoken with the president Tuesday night and described Trump's recollection about the ads as distinctly different than what Noem had recounted. "The president was not happy, and I remember thinking that the secretary is pretty much dead as fried chicken," Kennedy told reporters after Trump's announcement. During the hearing, lawmakers also repeatedly pressed Noem about her quick pronouncements after the fatal shootings in Minneapolis in January of Renee Good, a mother of 3, and Alex Pretty, an ICU nurse, suggesting they had been threatening immigration officers in acts that amounted to domestic terrorism. I don't think there's anything wrong with that statement. I think that statement is, like, actually correct. Democrats, along with a handful of Republicans, lambasted her for quickly jumping to that conclusion before an investigation had been complete. I'll give them that one, that's fair. As like an actual representative, you should probably wait to call them domestic terrorists before saying it. I can give them that one. Noem also said Pretty had brandished a gun, though she provided no evidence, and video footage of the shooting contradicted her account. She's wrong about that, and she shouldn't have said that, agree. He didn't brandish a gun. He went to reach for his gun, which he didn't know he had been disarmed, and the reaching for his gun is what got him shot. Harbinger, thank you. To be fair, Marco Rubio was also seen as a bad pick, but is now one of the best in the admin. He would still be skeptical of the new guy until he proves himself. Yeah. There's enough red flags for me to not be excited about the pick, so it's like, hopefully I'm wrong for my skepticism. Hopefully he will prove that he will go further and be more aggressive than Noem, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Noem said Pretty brandished a gun. He didn't, to my knowledge. Noem repeatedly refused to apologize for her comments. That was dumb. That seems kind of silly. Senate Minority Leader Charles Schumer said, why didn't they call him Chuck? Said Thursday that he was pleased that Trump had removed Noem, but vowed that Democrats will continue to seek changes to DHS and the administration's immigration enforcement operations. I just feel like if you do anything that makes Chuck Schumer happy, you've done the wrong thing. You know? Democrats have demanded that the White House and Republicans agree to a long list of new restrictions on federal immigration officers. The two sides have been negotiating for weeks on a DHS funding deal, but were unable to forge an agreement before the agency closed some operations last month. If the Democrats get their way and deportations start slowing down, we are fucked. Deportations need to ramp up, not slow down. It goes beyond any one person, Schumer said Thursday. We need to straighten out the whole agency. The rot there is deep. The Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee will hold the hearing on Mullen's nomination, a married father of 6. Mullen describes himself as a working cow-calf rancher and businessman, a former mixed martial arts fighter. He is known by colleagues to be pugilistic, and he recently described committee chair Rand Paul as a freaking snake. I always get Rand Paul and Ron Paul confused. One of them is based and one of them's a cuck, and I can't ever remember which one's which. Noem, a former South Dakota governor, became a symbol of the administration's brash and bombastic style on immigration soon after she was appointed last January. She gloated frequently about DHS's arrests of undocumented immigrants and highly produced videos the agency posted on social media. Border crossings dropped to the lowest level in decades, and arrests of undocumented immigrants already in the country rose significantly, but fell short of meeting White House goals. Like I said, we need more deportations. It's great that they're record numbers. It's great that we were getting things done. We need more, and we need less hampering by activist judges. Her department's spending and her own use of government resources have also drawn scrutiny from lawmakers. The Washington Post reported last year that she was living rent-free in the Coast Guard commandant's home. I'm not sure what the problem with that is. Why is that bad? Someone explain to me, because I don't know why that's bad. Why is it bad that she was in the Coast Guard commandant's home? Noem has been dogged by questions about the role of her top advisor, Corey Lewandowski, a former Trump campaign manager who was listed as a special government employee and was frequently seen with Noem at official events. Lewandowski played an influential role in key decisions at DHS, including reviewing contracts that exceeded $100,000 doodles. Chat. Never shit where you eat. Don't date in your workplace, man. Trump's top advisors in the White House have feuded with Lewandowski dating back to the campaign. White House officials repeatedly intervened to reverse DHS actions, including cutting counterterrorism funding to New York, suspending TSA pre-check screening during a department shutdown, and releasing a report on the future of FEMA. Noem has repeatedly said that her department was rooting out fraud, waste, and abuse within FEMA, and that she does not believe it should exist as it does today. I mean, she's correct about that. FEMA is incredibly corrupt. As a result, she's undercut FEMA's autonomy, many current and former agency officials have said. In June, she instituted a new approval process for every expense over $100,000, which, for FEMA during a disaster, is nearly everything. That drastically slowed the agency's operations and resulted in critical contracts, such as those for call centers during the Texas floods, lapsing. Were there people blaming Kristi Noem for, shit happening during the Texas floods? I remember people being outraged at FEMA for playing politics during North Carolina, where they were actively deciding not to give any kind of aid to Trump supporters. I remember that. One lawmaker, Senator Thom Tillis, his name really is Thob. Jesus fuck, you guys. I thought you were making a joke on his name. Thom Tillis, North Carolina, grew so frustrated with Noem that he berated her during the Senate oversight hearing this week for an anecdote in her 2024 autobiography in which she wrote that she shot her 14-month-old dog Cricket because she was poorly behaved. What the fuck? Why would you shoot a dog? Thom Tillis. Why would she shoot her dog? On Thursday, Tillis praised Trump's selection of Mullen, describing his Senate colleague in a social media post as a great guy and a great choice. He added that there was one other big positive about Mullen. He likes dogs. Dog kept attacking everything around it, actually? It was a ranch dog? If you recall, the dog killed the neighbor's chickens and was a biter. That kind of makes sense if it was killing people's wildlife. The dog was too aggressive and would attack people when it went out hunting. If she shot it because it was too aggressive and it was killing people's farm animals, why would she describe it as her being... Oh, I read it. She shot the dog because Noem, was poorly behaved, not that the dog was poorly behaved. I was like, why would she write that? That's so weird.
What?
Classic coconut. What, They say in her autobiography in which she wrote that she shot her 14-month-old dog Cricket because she was poorly behaved. Can you blame me for reading that as Noem talking about herself being poorly behaved? We did it! We finished the Noem article, and I still am, not very happy about the new pick to take her place. To be fair. Analysis suggests school was hit amid U.S. strikes on Iranian naval base. The February 28th school strike in Noem, which killed dozens, including children, appears to have been part of an attack on an adjacent naval base in southern Iran, where officials said U.S. forces were operating. February 28th strike that hit an elementary school in the southern Iranian town of Noem is the deadliest known episode of civilian casualties since the United States and Israel attacked Iran, and no side has taken responsibility yet. A body of evidence assembled by the New York Times, including newly released satellite imagery, social media posts, and verified videos, indicates the school building was severely damaged by a precision strike that occurred at the same time as attacks on the adjacent naval base operated by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. An official statement that U.S. forces were attacking naval targets near the Strait of Hormuz, where the IRGC base is located, suggests they were most likely to have carried out the strike. The White House referred the Times to remarks by the press secretary Caroline Leavitt at a news conference on Wednesday. When asked if the United States had conducted the airstrike on the school, she responded, "Not that we know of," adding that the Department of War is investigating this matter. Determining precisely what happened has been impeded by the lack of visible weapons fragments and the inability of outside reporters to reach the scene. The total death toll is yet to be independently confirmed, but Iranian health officials and state media said the strike had killed at least 175 people, many of them children at the Shahjarah Tayyebe Elementary School. In several days since the attack, U.S. officials have neither confirmed nor denied responsibility. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said on Wednesday that an investigation was underway. Nadav Shoshani, an Israeli military spokesman, told reporters on Sunday that as of now, he was not aware of any Israeli military operation in that area at that time. U.S. officials and public statements have indicated that on the day in question, U.S. planes were conducting operations in the region where the school was located. The elementary school is in the small southern town of Manab, more than 600 miles from Tehran, but near critical waterway of the Strait of Hormuz. Since Saturday, it is the start of the Iranian work week. Children and teachers were in class at the time of the strike, health officials and Iranian state media said. The strikes were first reported on social media shortly after 11:30, within an hour. I don't want to show that video. Images showing extensive damage to the school building were shared by Iranian rights groups soon after, and videos posted by Iranian media were independently verified by the Times, showing throngs of people searching through rubble for survivors and victims. This is more video stuff, assessing the damage. So let's see if I can find. This is the post I was linked. This is not the one that I showed off on stream. This is also not the one that Razorfist responded to. And this also does not have a community note on it. So this is the correct tweet, but it doesn't have any of the things that people were saying. If your church leaders and elected leaders are telling you the way to bring Jesus back is by killing innocent children of innocent foreign people you've never met in a foreign land you've never been to, then you're believing the lies of wolves dressed in sheep's clothing. No community note. Top comment says, "This is embarrassing. No one, not one pastor. No one's saying that. I don't really care about that. Your account should be shut down for fake stuff. Wrong country, wrong date." And there is a Shutterstock thing here that says home images photos, Jakarta, Indonesia, July 26, 2021, aerial view. No, this looks different. This is a different image. These ones have like, I don't know if these are flowers or paintings, but these ones have like flowers or paintings on the graves. And the, whatever the fuck this is, excavator, it's like light blue and yellow. Whereas Marjorie Taylor Greene's image, they don't have any caskets in any of these, it looks like, yet. There are no caskets here. There are no decorations on top of any of the graves. None of the excavators are the same color as the one from the Indonesia photo. So this guy is just completely wrong. This isn't the same photo. This isn't the same at all. It looks different. Yeah. Pic is from 2021 Jakarta, COVID burials, not from Iran. This one is from Jakarta. The one that Marjorie Taylor Greene posted, it's not the same photo. The graves are much closer together in the Indonesia photo. Even if it was taken at a different time after they were filled in, the graves would have to be the same. Yeah, these ones are much closer together, whereas the ones in Marjorie Taylor Greene's photo, they have more gaps between them. There's more space in between each grave, so this is definitely a real picture out of Iran. Like I said, it's going to be really hard to discern like what is real and what is not, but there's a whole bunch of people saying that it's fake. The photo's fake, it's from Indonesia during COVID, picture from Indonesia. When was this photo taken? Grok is probably going to say Iran. Aerial photo was taken in July 2021. Really? Well, I mean, I guess Grok has lied about me, so that's fucking crazy that he's saying it's from Indonesia as well. What the fuck? Because it doesn't look the same. Like, even if they had filled in the graves, these graves are way closer together. there would be a community note on this. Otherwise, boomer chatters getting one-shotted by a schizo on Twitter. Again, I wouldn't blame people for falling for shit like this, because when it's in fog of war, people are very, very, like, just quick to jump on things that will reinforce their perspective, right? Grok has been really unreliable. Yeah. Why would they mass bury them? Wouldn't the families want to do their own funerals? I have no idea. There might be other images of the Indonesia grave that are neither of the two in this post and so forth, maybe. I should blame people for emotionally reacting like retards. I mean, people are going to emotionally react to shit, right? Fake news, the photo has been edited, the original photo was taken during Indonesia. This is another angle of that Indonesia photo, and it still doesn't look the same. It still doesn't look the same. The graves are way too close together in comparison to the other one. It's definitely a different area. But like when people are emotional about something, that's just how they're gonna react. I do it. You guys have done it. Like there were people upset that I was saying like Leaflet shouldn't have minors in her Discord. It didn't matter that I said like I didn't watch, you know, Onion's videos a million times and I'm not commenting on anything Onion said because I don't know what he said. There were still people thinking that I was defending Onions and I was confirming everything he said and I was like throwing Leaflet under the bus. When that wasn't happening, it's just like, don't have minors in your Discord, man. That's literally all I said. There are people arguing for? What the hell? Yeah, I got angry in my Discord because somebody was just like, well, Kirsche's not an authority on Discord, so she doesn't get to have a say in what other people do with their Discords. And it's like, yeah, you're right, I don't. But you shouldn't have minors in your Discord, and advocating for minors in an adult community is fucking crazy. That's fucking wild. We made up. Again, it was an emotional response. Like I said, it happens. People get emotional. Yeah, this isn't proof that the US did anything, but we were proving that it wasn't the Indonesia photo. Like, it could have been Indonesia, but after seeing the photo, that's definitely two different places, two different photos, not the same thing. Still want Kirsche to check out the Nux vid. It's been too long. Should see them and make up her mind. I have no idea what's going on with Nux, and I have far more important things going on in real life at the moment. He also shouldn't have minors in his Discord if that's what was going on. I have no idea. How to not have minors in your Discord? Yes, I'm 18 has never stopped anyone. That's kind of a retarded talking point, because it's like you're never going to be able to get rid of all of them. But if you have a suspicion that someone is a minor, or if someone has been lying about their age, like if someone says, oh, you know, I'm 22, and then they, like, the next time they bring up age, they're like, oh yeah, I'm 19. That's a red flag. And it's like, well, you said you were 22. Now you said you're 19. I don't believe you're either of those things. Get banned, idiot. Right? Like, you can do due diligence. That's the best that you can do. Alleged IRGC private chat claims school strike was unintentional mistake to blame the US. A missile strike on a well-known school, Shajara Tayaba Primary School in Manab, Hormozgan province, in the aftermath of the US and Israel strike on Iran has been confirmed. Attribution on what force struck the school remains unclear. Messages circulating on Telegram, posted on what appears to be an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps run channel, state that the IRGC Aerospace Force missiles struck the school and described the incident as an unintentional mistake, adding that serious action will be taken against those responsible. Dia TV has reviewed the circulating screenshots and is publishing a full word-for-word translation below. While the authenticity of the Telegram channel ownership cannot be independently confirmed in real time, the language of the post aligns with the official style IRGC communications and has been widely shared by accounts citing the channel as IRGC affiliated. Original Persian text, word-by-word breakdown, blah 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 blah. Full literal translation: a missile from the Aerospace Force of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps struck a school in Manab County, Hormozgan province. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps announced that this was an unintentional mistake and that serious action will be taken against those responsible. There's a picture of like the school and stuff. There's another original text, another breakdown, literal translation. A review of maps and satellite images show that the girls' school, Shajara Tayabe Naval Force of the IRGC Manab is located in proximity to and within the compound of several buildings belonging to the Revolutionary Guards, including the Shahid Asalan Clinic, affiliated with the Medical Command of the IRGC Naval Force, and the Syed al-Shahada Cultural Complex of the IRGC. Another translation here. The Revolutionary Guards are in the process of transferring military equipment into the grounds of schools and hospitals. These military equipment are legitimate war targets, and such an action means the use of ordinary people, patients, and students under the designation of human shields. Header, paragraph 1, word for word, full translation. I, as one of the personnel inside the IRGC who, for security reasons, cannot disclose my identity, considered it necessary to convey this very important information to the people. Paragraph 2, original hieroglyphics, word for word. Full translation. Based on orders that have been communicated, the Islamic Republic intends, in a event of a start of U.S. attacks and precisely in those initial moments, to target a large number of residential areas and cities inside our own country with missiles and drones. Paragraph 3, word for word, literal translation. According to the scenario, immediately after the attacks, images of victims, especially women and children, will be published and disseminated so that global public opinion is provoked and directed in favor of the Islamic Republic. Paragraph 4, word by word, full translation. One of the reasons for the very limited internet connectivity in recent days is the preparation of the White Line's internet infrastructure across the country. An internet that is only available to specific institutions so that they can simultaneously send images and videos to Arab media and news agencies aligned with the Islamic Republic. This one is one of the few things we can already confirm as, like, this happened. Like, this one actually did happen. They shut down the internet, and anyone trying to access the internet was having to do so through VPN, and it was still dangerous to do that. Paragraph 5, word by word, a literal translation. The main objective of this plan is to present an image of victimhood internationally and to change the atmosphere of global public opinion, an atmosphere that is currently heavily against Ali Khamenei and in favor of Donald Trump. Final paragraph, word by word, full literal translation. By executing this plan, Ali Khamenei simultaneously pursues two goals: revenge against the people of Iran and deceiving domestic and global public opinion by spilling the blood of innocent citizens. And then there's a tweet here from someone named Omid Dana. Original Persian text, word by word breakdown, full literal translation. That seems like, how could it possibly have... Okay. Breaking, I can now confirm that the Islamic Republic carried out a military attack on several schools and killed students in order to place blame on Israel and America. Our only enemy is the Islamic Republic. So that's the literal translation of whoever Omid Dana is. I have no idea who this person is. I don't know if he's a relevant figure or just some random guy. And then the article comes to a conclusion here. What is confirmed at this stage is limited, however, it is significant. A missile struck Shahjareh Tayyebe Primary School in Menab County, and a Telegram post attributed to an IRGC-affiliated channel acknowledged that an IRGC Aerospace Force missile hit the school, describing the incident as an unintentional mistake. Beyond that, the information landscape is fragmented. Official-style messages, proximity analysis, anonymous insider allegations, and public social media accusations are now circulating simultaneously, many of them offering sharply conflicting interpretations of intent and responsibility. None of the anonymous or third-party claims presented above have been independently verified. As tensions continue to rise in the aftermath of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's confirmed death, the Menab strike has quickly become part of a broader battle over narrative and attribution. Further independent investigation will be required to determine the full circumstances surrounding the incident. Dia TV will continue to report developments as they emerge. So just like the other article that said, we're going to blame the US, but we have no proof that the US did this, this one is saying, we're not sure who is to blame here. There's a lot of conflicting narratives being put out. Here is one of the narratives that we found in an IRGC-affiliated Telegram channel. Who knows whether this is real? Who knows whether this is more interference and propaganda? Who knows? But thank you. Thank you for giving me the link so that I could at least read through it. So that I could at least see that I wasn't misremembering things. Thank you. I appreciate it. Where horrifying video footage emerged from Charlotte, North Carolina of a man attempting to run over a police officer with his gun drawn, trying to avoid arrest. What is happening in Charlotte? And you see a police officer man here. I don't know why there's music here, but you see the officer, like, literally fucking rolling over the car. And, you know, I feel a bit weird about this one because if this officer had shot, he would be completely within his rights to have done so, considering what is happening in this video. And I imagine it's harder for these police officers to make this kind of decision about their own lives because they know that if they defend themselves and they take out someone attempting to run them over, they're going to be run over on social media by a million people trying to blame them. It's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. And we found out more information that this actually wasn't a man. This was a woman Woman accused of hitting officer with car during street takeover at Harris Teeter in Charlotte. I don't know what a Harris Teeter is. A woman was arrested after allegedly striking an officer with a car during a street takeover at a Harris Teeter in northwest Charlotte early Sunday morning. Records show 25-year-old Tues Austin was charged with assault with a deadly weapon on emergency personnel and released on a $3,000 bond. Why in the fuck was she given $3,000 bond after trying to run over a police officer? Why would you get charged with assault with a deadly weapon on emergency personnel and then get released on a $3,000 bond? I hate everything about our so-called justice system. The street takeover happened at 3:25 a.m. Sunday, March 1st at the Harris Teeter on Smith Farm Road. What the fuck is a Harris Teeter? They keep saying this like we just know what it is. What is it? Is it a grocery store? Some kind of, okay, it is a grocery store. That's crazy. I guessed. I would not want to shop somewhere called Harris Teeter. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you for teaching me what a Harris Teeter is, chat. Police say they responded after receiving multiple calls about a street takeover in the store's parking lot. When officers arrived, they reported seeing several vehicles participating and attempted to get the drivers to leave the lot. One officer, who police said was outside his patrol vehicle, approached a black Kia Optima. You never do that. Not the Optimas, bro. As it attempted to leave the lot, according to an affidavit, the driver, later identified as Austin, stopped as the officer walked in front of the car and toward the driver's side. The affidavit states that as the officer moved in front of the vehicle, Austin began to accelerate rapidly and struck the officer, causing him to roll over the hood of the vehicle. He was taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries. Whoever in the chat said that she was LARPing as Renee Good, check that off on your bingo card, bro. Police said the officer struck by Austin gave verbal commands for her to stop before he was hit and was standing directly in front of the car where he could clearly be seen. Austin reportedly fled the parking lot after hitting the officer and was arrested 1 day later on Monday, March 2nd. A video circulating on social media appears to show the moment Austin struck the officer. But wait, there's more! Matt Van Swell over here said, I found the magistrate who let Tues Austin out of prison on a $3,000 bond for nearly murdering a police officer with her car in Charlotte, North Carolina. The magistrate's name is Michelle Williams McNair, a Democrat. This is beyond parody. Is this a magistrate posing like a gangster? My culture is not your costume, lady. You cannot pose as the Italian mafia. Magistrate judges releasing violent criminals without bail often aren't even lawyers. Hey, we've learned about that before. Former trans liaison nurse banned from practicing after conducting unauthorized genital examinations on child patients. Would you look at that name tag, brother man? A nurse has been struck off the register after a professional panel found that he had performed unnecessary and sexually motivated examinations of children's genitals. Ashley Boyd, who also goes by the name Chris Cronin, was the Great Western Hospital NHS Trust first trans liaison nurse. This week, a Nursing and Midwifery Council, NMC, panel reviewed concerning reports of Boyd's conduct, learning that he was regularly rostered as a triage nurse on the Pediatric Assessment Unit at Great Western Hospital in Swindon. The panel focused on a series of incidents between January 2023 and August 2023, during which Boyd was found to have performed testicular examinations on multiple child patients. Boyd was not a qualified children's nurse and was not authorized to carry out intimate examinations. According to Wiltshire 999S, I don't know what that is, some of the children had been brought to the hospital for unrelated health issues, with a report to the NMC panel citing examples including tonsillitis. Despite having no medical justification or professional scope, Boyd subjected multiple children to genital examinations, which included touching their genitals and inner thighs. I wonder how many children told their parents that this guy did this to them, and they didn't believe them because they're like, "Oh, little Stevie, we brought you in to have your tonsils examined. Ain't no way that doctor was touching your testicles." You only know about this story because the BBC cropped the photo to hide the rainbow badges. Oh, that doesn't surprise me. That is something I would expect the BBC to do. The panel concluded that some or all of the examinations were sexually motivated, carried out for sexual gratification, and amounted to a serious breach of professional standards. In addition to the examinations themselves, the panel criticized Boyd for failing to properly record key information expected during these intimate examinations involving children. There was poor documentation around whether consent had been obtained and whether a parent or guardian was even present at the time. Disturbingly, colleagues reportedly knew about Boyd's conduct and raised concerns on multiple occasions. According to the NMC panel, Boyd was explicitly told on 2 occasions by senior staff to stop carrying out intimate examinations, but did not listen. So what you're saying is that if you're trans and you're in trans healthcare in the UK, you can just be allowed to sexually abuse children via your work, and your colleagues will wag their finger at you, but they'll let you do it for a long time before you actually get reported. That's kind of fucking crazy. This should be like you find out about it once and you report it. Why would you do any kind of protecting of this behavior? Like, what in the hell? What in the hell? If you find out about it, you fucking report it. What is this? Trauma-based mind control? They didn't want to be called a heckin' bigot. Wiltshire 999S adds that police have interviewed Boyd, though it is unclear what action, if any, followed. Boyd has been struck off the professional register, meaning he's no longer able to practice as a nurse or refer to himself as a nurse. While he is allowed to appeal the decision, an interim suspension order for 18 months was also applied while the case remains within an appeal period. In addition to his work, Boyd was a representative with the NHS Great Western Hospitals Trust LGBTQ+ network. According to a 2022 Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion report, Boyd served as the Trust's LGBTQ+ network chair and its first ever trans liaison nurse. Brother, what? Ashley describes his role as a trans liaison nurse. Much of it involves simply listening to patients. I start the conversation and listen to their experiences, worries, and anxieties, and try my best to offer compassionate advice, support, and guidance. Yeah, compassionate advice, like fucking molesting them! What the fuck? I'm constantly learning through patient experiences, advocacy organizations like Stonewall, and even listening to people on YouTube. I also signpost patients and families to local charities and other services when I think they need further support. Man, what about a prison sentence, right? Boyd was active in the community as an LGBTQ activist, indicated by the fact that he appears to have served as the Swindon and Wiltshire Pride Chair in 2023. He was quoted in January 2023 article on the festivities by the Swindon Advertiser, suggesting he held the role at the same time he was performing inappropriate genital examinations on children at his workplace. You know, that's not entirely surprising considering we read about that other convicted pedophile who had like some giant fucking funeral procession for him. Many on social media are comparing the treatment Boyd received with that of Epsom and St. Helier NHS Trust nurse Jennifer Mell. Journalist Teresa Smith noted on X that the Royal College of Nursing offered some representation to Boyd in his dispute with the Nursing and Midwifery Council, but refused to intervene in Mell's case. I don't know who Jennifer Mell is. Appalling case of sexual assault of child patients in a hospital by a male nurse, suggesting the RCN represented this nurse who has just been struck off, but not Jennifer Mell. I don't know who Jennifer Mell was.
Flashback.
When Nurse Jennifer inadvertently called a burly 6-foot transgender pedophile Mr., the sex offender attacked her and called her the N-word 3 times. So guess who was investigated by the NHS and labeled a danger to the public? Chat, who do you think? Who do you think got investigated? The transgender pedophile using the N-word, or a woman who called a transgender pedophile Mr.? Was it the violent criminal? Of course not! Why would you think the violent criminal would face any repercussions?
End of flashback.
While Boyd was initially allowed to continue practicing, even after significant concerns were raised about his conduct with children, Mell was suspended from her post after misgendering a transgender pedophile patient. Hold on, wait a minute. So if you're a nurse and you misgender a trans pedophile, you lose your job. But if you're a pedophile touching children's genitals, molesting them, obviously non-consensually because they're fucking children, they can't consent, that's perfectly fine. And your coworkers will even let you off with a finger wag and a warning until you rack up multiple cases. That was a close one, man. I am a professional. Pedophile occupied government. Yeah, what the fuck is going on? Misgendering a pedophile gets you fired, but touching children's genitals, that's fine. Your coworkers will defend you, no big deal. Mell had been a senior nurse at St. Helier Hospital in Carshalton when the pedophile was transferred in from a high-security prison in May of 2024. After referring to him as Mr. in passing, the man went on a racist tirade against Mel. Oh, I do remember that! And attempted to physically attack her. Mel was then given a written warning by her employer for misgendering the pedophile. She later spoke to media about her experience and was suspended in 2025 after the Epsom and St. Helier NHS Trust placed her under investigation for potential misconduct. Mel was finally reinstated this week after a lengthy misconduct hearing process. Bro, that happened in May of 2024. This week, when was this article? January 22nd, 2026. That took years. That took years for her to get reinstated. Absolute fucking clown world shittery.